Katy Perry has dropped her long-anticipated comeback single, Woman's World, and it has me concerned about her upcoming 143 era. Before people run to the comments and say that I am a Katy Perry hater, I have covered every single one of her projects. I was extremely sympathetic to the misunderstood Witness era, which more or less broke her killer streak as one of pop's greatest hitmakers. I even chalked up Smile to pandemic shenanigans and her prioritizing motherhood. But Woman's World is her worst lead single by a mile, and there's many reasons why it misses the mark. Lead singles more or less dictate the tone and trajectory of a pop era, mainly because they are teaser trailers to the upcoming album, and they get the biggest push from the record labels. A good lead single introduces the listener to the artist, their vision for the upcoming era through its sound and visual components, and if it clicks, the listener goes and checks out the album. Katy Perry herself, I've always considered a master at this element of promotion. She has always had a good ear for what song would best smash and tell the story, and Woman's World is her first real miss in that regard. Let's throw it back to 2008. I Kissed a Girl was this controversial pop rock smash hit that really set her up as a prominent pop girl for the ages. It was catchy, controversial, but the song was also well constructed and radio friendly too, and the music video took it over the top. It went #1 for 7 consecutive weeks because it was perfectly chosen and it stood out in a crowded pop landscape. It also established Katy's one of the boys persona as a cheeky alternative to the then conventional pop star. California Girls with Snoop Dogg was the lead single to Teenage Dream, a legendary pop record that secured her 6 #1s and some of the best numbers of the digital download era. It was this gorgeous, lush, summertime smash banger, timeless, that responded to Jay-Z and Alicia's Empire State of Mind. And it went diamond in the States. It spent 6 weeks at #1, and it also set up the cotton candy confection and magical world of Teenage Dream and established her as a pop queen. Katy's looks in that video are iconic. People still do them as Halloween costumes, and it retained her wit, humor, and the pin-up model aesthetic that she set up. Let's go to 2013, Roar, one of her most successful lead singles, if not the most successful one. Power pop anthem, spent 2 weeks at #1 in 2013, one of the most competitive and chaotic years in history. If you are a pop aficionado like me, it went diamond, and it was the first woman-led music video to hit 3 billion views or more on YouTube. Woman's World is not going to even hit 1 billion. The music video was a cute camp moment that established that Prism was going to be the self-empowerment pop record, and it would actually be her last lead single to go #1. Cut to 2017, Change of the Rhythm, one of the earlier missteps, but it was still a brave choice for a lead single and still successful. Change of the Rhythm was this disco-inspired protest pop anthem with Skip Marley that criticized the Trump administration and really set up Witness to be a purposeful pop record. Did Witness fail as an era? Yes, but at least it was established pretty well. Visually, the music video captured the hopeless world that was sleepwalking towards dystopia. It was a very intelligent, well-shot music video. And guess what? It wasn't produced by Dr. Luke. And it would still hit the top 5 and be her last song to hit the top 10, a place that she easily found herself in and now seems to be out of reach for her. And before I talk about Smile, I personally consider Never Really Over the lead single of that era, even if it definitely belonged to a scrapped album or concept that just never was meant to be. This track was a perfect pop comeback that hit 15 on the charts. It had a lovely, beautiful music video. She really should have promoted it more because it was a summer staple of mine that year. I thought that it established this cool love yin-yang aesthetic for what I assume was the original version of Katy Perry 5. Daisy's is the official lead single of that era, and it did okay, and it was a sweet song that was inspired by her daughter, but not really one that I revisit often. Still hit top 40 though. Woman's World feels like an attempt to return to her earlier pop empowerment tracks. It's a synthy pop production with her expected build-up and catchy chorus, but it falls flat. The lyrics feel AI generated and cringy. Katy Perry has always been cringe, but she's been authentically cringe. Here she's using TikTok AAVE like sister and mother unironically. And the production, which caused controversy because she brought back Dr. Luke of all people. It's an uninspired knockoff of Lady Gaga's Stupid Love. Structurally, the song sounds the same, all it's missing is Gaga's vocal bridge in the middle. Speaking of which, there isn't even a bridge, which blows because Katy has always been great at delivering a bridge. I mean, the ET bridge, iconic. I get that she wants streaming numbers and the industry seems to hate bridges, but yikes, the song literally just comes and goes, 2 minutes 43 seconds, no real start or end. Katy's earlier works tend to be complete stories where there's a strong intro, some really good verses that lead into a pre-chorus and chorus that feel earned. Here it's just a flat delivery on the verses with some decent ornamentation on the later choruses, but she seems so bored. And let's go over the lyrics again. I'm not expecting Katy Perry to be Joni Mitchell or anything, but there are 6 writers on this track, including Dr. Luke, who I'll talk about in a bit. 6 writers, and the best they could do is write a Hillary Clinton 2016 campaign song anthem. That is 8 years too late. That first pre-chorus of "she's a sister, she's a mother," it feels like your old coworker trying to use modern slang. Like, imagine if Rebecca from HR went up to you and said, "Your Riz is so slay," after a good presentation. And the chorus has to be the biggest disappointment for me, one of the weakest elements. The concept of it's a woman's world and you're lucky to be living in it, it actually does work. Katy thunders on the track, but the rest of it really falls flat. Compare it to California Girls, where she details why they're unforgettable. When she switches it up to undeniable later on, fine, fresh, fierce, they got it on lock, it keeps the chorus fresh. There's no variation or detail as to why we should be even glad to live in a woman's world. And the music video, that is another disappointing element. It really does start off promisingly. There are some care put into the visuals, and I appreciate that, but it doesn't feel like a video with any real replay value. Katy Perry videos, I have rewatched the last Friday night one like anytime I have afters with my friends. This one's not going to make the rotation. It opens with her recreating some iconic American imagery, which has always been in her wheelhouse, the whole using urinals and working the masculine job. It's funny, it's ironic, but the shock value of the sex toys just fell flat to me. I will say that she looks amazing throughout. The American flag ensemble that she wears earlier in the video is actually one of her best looks in this video. We get this odd smash cut that brings us to a more present-day setting, which brings up an issue that I have with this video. There doesn't seem to be a clear storyline that an average viewer can follow. Because now she's in the modern day where she's deflated for some reason, and she walks past the streets of West Hollywood on an average afternoon. She sticks a gas pump in her butt when her robot legs stop working. Trisha Paytas, of all people, gives her a lift in a truck before she crashes someone's house and steals their selfie stick. This stranger wonders who she is, and she declares that she's Katy Perry before flying away on a helicopter to God knows where. The thing about the video itself is that it kind of undercuts the song in that it's far more interesting than the girl boss music that she's making, and it seems to make fun of how generic that track is. But the song itself doesn't seem to be in on the joke. So there's this weird ironic disconnect that I'm not sure is intentional or not. I felt like there were actually some visually cool moments, but the whole video seems to not really know where it's going, which is almost a metaphor for this era until we get maybe all the visuals and the singles, maybe it'll be better contextualized. But one thing seems really clear, it seems that Katy Perry is lost. And here's the irony, it's not even that pop isn't fun anymore. We live in a time where espresso is smashing, Chappell Roan, who'd perfectly fit in the 2010s landscape, is thriving. People want silly, thoughtless pop, but it has to be good. Whether that comes from authenticity or just outright really smart writing and good production, it doesn't matter. Woman's World comes from an artist who has done way better before, and that's what makes this whole thing so sad. Katy Perry is too good for this song. I mentioned this in my video about Prism, but there's another world where Katy became an adult contemporary artist who consistently output some solid mid-tempo tracks, a la Pink. Another path that she could have easily done was stick to dance pop, where she could have followed Kylie Minogue's lead and just made consistent dance records. I think that she has the voice and the looks and the talents for it. Walking on Air was one of my favorite tracks. I wish she had followed in that direction. Dua Lipa would actually spiritually continue that with future nostalgia in some ways. Even the underrated comeback song When I'm Gone proved that there was a pathway where Katy could have just dropped Ava Max-like bangers and coasted on her legacy name recognition. But here we are in 2024, Katy Perry, after 2 eras without him, is now working with Dr. Luke, trying to muster up a rehash of the old glory days. And the thing is, it's not going to work. And that might actually be the most disappointing element of it all. Dr. Luke is still somehow producing big pop records in spite of multiple people coming out and talking about it. Even his current collaborators have issues with him. It's just really ironic that Katy put him on this track about the power of women. Maybe Katy Perry's pulling an all-time ironic joke, or maybe she just doesn't care. I think there are more producers that she could work with. I mean, she could have called Zedd, Calvin Harris, Max Martin, who is going to work on this album apparently, Jack Antonoff. Maybe even found an underground female producer and elevated them with this track. But no, this track and its music video are incoherent. The song is trash. I have some hope for 143, and I'm gonna give it a fair shot, the same way that I actually gave Feed the Beast and Problematique. Because I still like Katy, I still try to root for her when I can, but it's getting harder each day to do it. Pitchfork reminded me of this quote that this nun said, and the fact that I actually laughed at a Pitchfork article is just proof that it is dire right now. And that's a wrap. Thank you so much for tuning into this really quick video / examination into something that just really disappointed me. You know me, I just rarely make negative videos. I think the last time I made a negative video was 2020, 4 years ago, but I just had to say something because yikes. And I gave this a whole day. I did not even publish this on the release date. I was in like a fugue state. I was like, no way this is real. It was like November 9th, 2016. Anyway, a quick shout out to my members. Thank you so much for supporting my channel, taking that extra step and joining the channel. A shout out to my subscribers. Thank you for keeping me on my toes and just making me produce content. I'm going to keep on making videos. I'm excited to see what releases come out, though hopefully I really want a break so that I can revisit some old albums and maybe kickstart the podcast again, though I'm just really lazy. I'm sorry about that, guys. Anyway, I will see you next video. Comment below what you really thought about Women's World. Nice, bad. I do want to see the gamut of the different responses you guys have. And I'll see you next video.